And government's overdrive to raise money has been fiercely criticised by MPs on the floor of Parliament. Government is seeking to amend the Excise Duty Act to introduce some new taxes and items, as well as to increase others. Listen to the ranking member on the Finance Committee list the items which are now being taxed, including fruit juices and electronic cigarettes. And we'll be getting more details for you in Parliament, but we're doing all of that after this break. Please stay. And you're welcome back. Government's overdrive to raise money has been fiercely criticised by MPs on the floor of Parliament. Government is seeking to amend the Excise Duty Act to introduce new tax items to also increase others. Listen to ranking member on the Finance Committee listing items which are now to be taxed, including fruit juices and electronic cigarettes.
That fruit juice that in the past used not to attract taxes is going to see a 20% increase in tax. Fruit juices will be taxed at excise rate of 20% at the ex-factory price. The Speaker, it is also important to notice that apart from fruit juice, the government seeks to introduce taxes on a number of items. An example is cigar, Negro head. We were told that Negro head is going to also receive a new tax increase. Speaker, the committee, when we asked what a Negro head is, nobody knew what a Negro head. Others were of the view that it was weed. The Speaker, again, we saw in the bill that the government intends to introduce a tax on snuff of 280 Ghana cedis per kilogram, snuff. They also informed us that electronic cigars will be seeing a tax of 50% at the ex-factory price. This is a government that wants money, and so they want to extend their hands everywhere and take taxes left, right, and center to fund their activity.
Well, MP for BR East, Richard Champon, asked government to take it easy on people who take fruit juices, although he had no challenge with taxing alcoholic beverages.
Here we are introducing taxes on cigar, spirits, alcoholic beverages. We consider those things as a sin tax. So that one we do agree with government, because we need to deter the youth from smoking and drinking these spirits, alcoholic beverages. And they move to fruit juice and other beverages. Mr. Speaker, so what is the point again? You are taxing us when we take alcohol application and the rest, you are taking taxes from us. If you want to stop drinking application, you want to drink fruit juice, you want to also take tax from us. So do you want to kill us in this country? And they told us that because of sugar level, obesity, and all that. There's no scientific proof. No research work has been done. Nobody can share with us any document indicating that people are taking some beverages and they are putting on more weight. Obesity is one of the issues in this country. So you don't want us to take application. You don't want us to take cognac. You want to take fruit juice and say, I want to tax you. If you want money, government become autopause. Non-alcoholic beverages, they want to tax us, spreading their tentacles everywhere. Do you want us to run away from this country? It's not fair. Let's stick to the alcoholic beverages, tax those people who take the cigar and what, but we those who have repented and want to take fruit juice and beverages, leave us alone. Leave us alone to live longer.
More minority MPs have been joining that. For his part, MP for Yape Kusogo, John Jinapo, indicated that all people who are into snuff are being treated unfairly and targeted with the introduction of taxes on some of these products.
But you see, snuff, Abba, let's become snuff, yes, snuff. They want to tax snuff. Snuff, they want to tax snuff. And sometimes this snuff, it relaxes the body for our grandfathers. My grandfather, I do not use snuff, but my grandfather uses the snuff in order to calm down his blood pressure. Now you are saying this snuff, this small one that is taking, you want to tax it. Mr. Speaker, even the cigarette, one stick, one drop. Cigarette, one drop, just one drop for a filling. They want to tax $0.02 on that stick of cigarettes. But what even surprises me is that after all these taxes, they are going to get only 400 million. That is the expected amount, 400 million. So, Mr. Speaker, I just want to join hands with my colleagues that when it comes to spirits, when it comes to wine, and those of you who consume wine, at least some of us, we know our levels. So these taxes, we are out of that bracket. Those of you who consume whiskey, those of you who take tobacco, you are in trouble. But the small fruit juice that we also take, the fruit juice. As for that one, I want to make a passionate appeal to my sister, the Honorable Abna.
In Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante, who's joining us live via Zoom. Kweku, we know that the plan of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was also to raise some, of course, money to reconstruct the Accra International Conference Centre. We're getting fresh details about how much it may cost us and also attempts by minority to block that. Tell us more about that.
So the Foreign Ministry expected to raise about 1 billion Ghana cedis, the equivalent of euros, to reconstruct the Accra International Conference Centre, to put it into a certain pedestal that meets international standards. So they were to that money, they put that in the policy statement in the budget. The committee decided that within the current economic climate, this wasn't something that they were going to approve. And so Samuel Okudzeto Blackman, who is the ranking member on that committee, says that that plan has been scuttled for now and that the money will not be allowed, the Foreign Ministry will not be allowed to raise that amount of money to do the reconstruction of the AICC.
The Accra International Conference Centre redevelopment project. Mr. Speaker, it will surprise you to hear that a whopping 160 million euros, 160 million euros has been earmarked for this project in what is being described as a PPP arrangement. Mr. Speaker, as we have noted in our report, and I want to read verbatim from page 19, the last paragraph. Some members of the committee expressed their inability to support the reconstruction of the Accra International Conference Centre because of the distressed nature of the current economy. They again argued that the reconstruction of the AICC has not been captured in the list of essential projects of the Ministry of Finance for the year 2023. The committee recommends that the Ministry endeavors to produce the report of the feasibility studies and the structural integrity on the AICC to inform future decisions on the project. Mr. Speaker, we want the House and the Hansa to record that our side does not support this project, particularly at this time. We have not seen the structural integrity report. We have not seen the value for money report. We have not seen the feasibility studies report.
Well, Kweku, just a bit more on that. Are we getting official reasons as to why the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is making such claims and asking for the reconstruction of the Accra International Conference Centre?
So we know that for some time the conference centre has been in a deplorable condition. The ministry has sought to raise the standard of the conference facility to meet international standards, to be able to host international conferences. The minister herself was on the floor to sort of defend the project and why she thought that it was very important for government to be able to raise that amount of money to be able to construct the facility. But the minority's concern, like you've heard Okudzeto Blackman there, is that we are in an economic crisis. Government does not have enough. Government should not be venturing into such ventures for now, that if later the economic challenge is fixed and that the country returns to some stable footing, then that can be dealt with. The minority are also against opening of new embassies, opening of new missionary posts across the country, around the world. They've been saying that it is the same reason for which they are blocking the construction of the AICC, that there's no money and the government should put on hold some of these projects for later.
The House is equally rising today. What are some of the final processes and marches happening ahead of that final sitting?
So, Blessed, that is the expectation that by the close of today, they would have been able to complete the Appropriation Act, pass it into law, then go on break. And so if you look at the other paper, there are a number of key things that are on it, a number of key measures that government intends to push through. But also the VAT review, the VAT is coming today. The e-levy review is also coming today. The minority have already signaled their intention to oppose that and fight that every step of the way. Those are yet to hit the floor, but by the other paper, they will be taken today. The concerns we've had is that now the House is saying they've taken a break to be able to judge and discuss behind the scenes before they can come back. But just gone by, the Justice for Ghana group presented a petition to both sides of the House to reject the VAT increase, to reject the e-levy review that would have removed the threshold, and also to reject that 80 million cedis allocation for the National Cathedral project. So any time from now, we expect the House to be gaveled back in session for the tall business that they have to complete.
Initially, when the debate process started, there were reports, and you pointed that out, of how some NPP MPs, and from across the aisle, there was low participation in the process. Turn up on the floor of Parliament was quite low. Is that changing now? And are we certain that government will get the necessary numbers to push the appropriations through?
Yeah, Blessed, a number of things have changed. I mean, yesterday the House adjourned at around 9 p.m. There were still enough MPs on the floor to transact business. So things have changed. There are more MPs coming in, and these are high stakes. Government needs to be able to pass these revenue measures. So it should be remiss for the chief whip on the majority side not to crack the whip on its members to ensure that they are in the House. Indeed, before the House went on break, it was almost a full House. So there are enough MPs in the House, from Monday since they've been sitting up until now, to be able to prosecute this government business. Indeed, we expect that when they come back, the House will actually be full, because you need the maximum numbers on both sides to be able to push whatever agenda you want to push. If the minority say that they are going to oppose the VAT, they need all the MPs on the floor to be able to vote against that. If the majority are bent on pushing them through, they need all their MPs on the floor to be able to do that. So that is expected to happen when the House return from their break. But the attendance has been much more encouraging than when the budget statement was being debated.
Well, Kukwa Santi, our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, a lot, in fact, has been happening in Parliament ever since Kweku stepped there. A group of demonstrators are equally demanding the immediate termination of the construction of the National Cathedral, which they have been denied access to the Parliament grounds itself by the police service. But the group, comprising members of pressure group Justice for Ghana and Arise Ghana, as well as some traditional leaders, have been calling on Parliament to act on their demands. My colleague James Aveji has been engaging some of the demonstrators.
Clashing with the police. We say we want to enter. They have come to barricade and stop us from entering. They say they don't have control. They say they don't have control. The people inside have not told us that we cannot enter. We are not forcing to pull down the structure to enter. And yet, look at what they are doing.
What reason did they give for preventing you from entering?
They are here. Go and ask them. Just turn to them and ask them. Atimbire is the one who is leading this. And as you can see, as always, they have to take instruction from above. Akufo-Addo cannot continue to give instructions to the police as to whether citizens have a right to do something or not. So the police is not Akufo-Addo's property. The police is for the people of Ghana. That's as simple as that. And so when we want to do something that we think that is inimical, not only to us, the civilians, but even to the police. The police, you know, they are suffering.
They are suffering.
Some of them are our brothers.
Why not?
They live with us. And we know what they are going through.
Yes. So what next?
We will go back to Parliament House and then we will come back. We will not give up entering this place. We will come back.
The government are not sitting with the custodians, we the custodians. So we are pleading on the government. So it should sit down with us and tell us what is going on. Yeah.
Are there any particular demands you are requiring from government?
Yeah, this is Ostu land. So we, the youth of Osu, want to hear something proper from the government about this land. So this is just briefing them that We are not sitting down and looking at what is going on, but we are rising. We are rising. Both the youth, as formerly I told you, the youth, we have taken 72%. So if this government is there and not assisting the youth, then the next generation automatically will collapse. So this our mission of coming here.
The cathedral, according to the president, he made a personal pledge to his the deity he worships, God, that should God grant him the opportunity to steer the affairs of this country, he will build a cathedral in his honor. But what beat us is Akufo-Addo never had the courage to put that in his manifesto or his policy programs. He never did. Now he is in power and he wants to use that thing to steal our money, which is in keeping with his character and the character of those in government, to be stealing and plundering our resources. That, as the youth of this country, we say no. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Justice for Ghana has taken a resolute stand that we don't want anything there to be called a cathedral. We want the whole place to be transformed to its previous state. We don't want anything built by Akufo-Addo.
Joining us via Zoom now is Selam Dramani Jarmado. He is the Communications Officer for Justice for Ghana. Thank you, sir, for your time here on the polls. So it's clear that governments will continue with the process, except to say that Parliament is blocking some of the allocations to this. Why not mount pressure, for instance, on the Christian community to try and take up the project and finance it within their own community?
The challenge with that suggestion is that Ghana is a theocracy. Ghana is not a theocracy. Ghana is a democracy. So if Christians in this country want to take up that project, it is their legitimate right to do. What we are against is using state funds to fund the personal promise or pledge made by the President of the Republic. That is what we are against. Our state funds should not be expended on such a useless project. That is what we are saying. And that is why we organized this picket this morning. So this time, to drum home our stand.
Salam, are you with me? But then I was just wondering, in the first place, what exactly it is that you're seeking to get by moving into... Yeah, Salam, if you can hear me, I'm just asking the question about your insistence to move into Parliament. Of course, that was blocked by the police service, but what were you seeking to do by moving into the House?
Okay, it was, mind you, it was blocked at the committee level. It was blocked at the committee level.
No, I'm talking about your insistence to move into Parliament. You had wanted to move into Parliament. You were blocked by the police service.
No, there was no such move. We didn't do that because we had an agreement with the police that 20 of us would enter Parliament to present the petition to leadership. So there was no attempt on our part to breach that agreement we reached with or understanding we reached with the police and leadership of Parliament. We did not attempt to breach or go back on our understanding with the police.
So I'm just curious, for how long will you be staying in front of Parliament, at least just to mount pressure and to ask the authorities to act?
No, per the understanding we reached with the police, this demonstration, this picketing has ended today. Today's picketing has ended. But we have a series of activities coming up to continue to exhibit or manifest our opposition to the bad policies of this administration. So for today's picketing, it has been successful, it has been historic, so peaceful.
And do you feel that your demands will be met after, the presentation of your petition as well?
The leadership of Parliament has given us a fervent assurance that the content of our petition will not be shrugged off, but that they will make strenuous effort to make it ahead or to table it on the floor. That is assurance by the leadership of Parliament.
Well,
so we have no reason to doubt whatever they said to us this afternoon, especially the minority leader. He made that solemn pledge that they will table our concerns on the floor.
Anyway, Salam, I wish you the very best. Thank you for joining us here on the Pulse. Of course, we'll still be monitoring aspects of what you're doing there, and also try and get more details and reactions to this. But I'm grateful for your time. Well, the New Patriotic Party is demanding an unqualified apology from former President John Dramani Mahama to the judiciary, as leadership of the party insists that the National Democratic Congress's decision to contest the 2020 presidential result was without adequate evidence and was a grand conspiracy to simply destabilize the country. Here's General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Justin Kundia Frimpong, speaking at a news conference earlier today.
As we have previously admitted, our dear country has in the past few months endured some challenging socioeconomic conditions, partly attributed to the adverse impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic and worsened by the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. Depreciation of the cedi against major trading currencies, particularly the dollar, surge in prices of petroleum products, and rising inflation nearly destabilized the local economy. As the ruling political party and as national officers of this great party, the New Patriotic Party, we received numerous petitions from the length and breadth of the country, which employed us and the government to urgently address these socio-economic conditions which had increased cost of living for ordinary Ghanaian and nearly suffocating businesses. Consequently, the leadership of the New Patriotic Party had several engagements with government with the view to addressing the legitimate concerns so expressed. It is heartwarming that following these engagements, remedial interventions put in place by the Kufuor government are gradually yielding results. And indeed, we can all attest to it. As evidenced by all and sundry, the cedi has, in the past few weeks or two, witnessed significant gains in value, appreciating by some 63.7% against the American dollar as of December 2015-2022. This appreciation has been rightly described by many economic watchers as an unprecedented feat in the history of our country. Interestingly, our political opponents, as usual of them, when they were blaming government policies for the cedi depreciation, are now saying we should not attribute the gains to the government intervention. So we ask, if government can be blamed for cedi depreciation, why can't this same government be credited for the appreciation in the value of the cedi? Anyway, we leave this to the judgment of you discerning Ghanaians. And that's typical of the NDC. We also find it as gratifying that owing to the massive appreciation in the value of the cedi, prices of petroleum products at the pump have reduced, resulting in a 15.3% reduction in transport fares as announced by the transport unions. Although I must admit that these developments may not entirely address the prevailing socio-economic condition in the country, we do believe strongly that they may offer a sigh of relief to Ghanaians, especially as we approach the festive season. Certainly, there could not have been a better Christmas gift to all of us. And indeed, we must commend this government. On the account of cedi depreciation, reduction in the fuel prices, transport fares, we appeal to all manufacturers and traders to also reduce prices of commodities to conform with this reality. Please, we beg you, for the sake of this country, as you can all attest, the prices of transport fares and petroleum product has come down. Kindly also reduce prices of your commodities. Ladies and gentlemen, it is public knowledge that during the recent socio-economic upheavals, our political opponent, the NDC, tried without success to take the advantage of the situation for undeserving political mileage. The NDC and Mahama never missed any opportunity to lash out at government, even though they knew that the challenges were mainly caused by external factors. Indeed, this position was recently confirmed by the IMF through its managing director, Kristalina Georgieva, who, on the 5th of September 2022, at the African Adaptation Summit in the Netherlands, stated categorically that the economic challenges confronting Ghana cannot be attributed to government policies, but rather exogenous shocks occasioned by COVID-19 pandemic and Russia-Ukraine war. She added that, but for these external factors, the Ghanaian economy would have remained strong and resilient. But for these external factors, Ghanaian economy would have remained strong and resilient. Ladies and gentlemen, it is interesting that even the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, completely agrees with the MPP government and the IMF that indeed the COVID pandemic and the war in Ukraine are the root causes of our current socio-economic challenges, except that for John Mahama, His Excellency, he only makes this admission when he's addressing international audiences. However, he tells Ghanaians to blame the Akufo-Addo government for all economic woes and not COVID and Ukraine-Russian war. Whenever he goes outside, he admits it. But when he comes to Ghana, he turns to something else. How opportunistic. We in the MPP do not shy away from our records and are ready to debate our political opponents on any day. The Ghanaian people are the best judges. The Ghanaian people have not forgotten the records of John Mahama and the NDC. The Ghanaian people are very much aware of the fact that during their tenure, even without any global economic crisis, the John Mahama-led NDC government was so overwhelmed by their own incompetence that they could not even keep our lights on, plunging this country into darkness for 4 years while destroying many livelihoods. As we can all attest today, the Doomsday crisis was fixed in the first year of the Akufo-Addo administration. The NDC and Mahama could also not implement any social intervention program to mitigate the suffering of Ghanaians. To make matters worse, the existing ones were either destroyed or cancelled by them. Mention can be made of teacher training allowance, nursing training allowance, among others. Even the irony of it was that even teachers who were recruited for over a year, they were never paid. When they were going to be paid, a directive was given that, oh, we can only pay you 3 months. What happened to the remaining 8 months? But in our case, despite the lingering impact of the global pandemic and Russia-Ukraine war, resulting in the worst global social economic crisis in more than 7 decades, the MPP government led by President Akufo-Addo is still able to sustain its ambitious interventions, such as the free senior high school, 1 district, 1 factory initiative, among others. We have also been able to consistently pay salaries on time, and we have undertaken unprecedented building of roads and railway infrastructure, and we throw challenge to NDC to produce this. Even more significant.
So that's Justin Kodia Frimpong. He's the General Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party. Well, the party is also raising some more issues, asking the NDC to apologize owing to the leaked audio in which the now national chairperson of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, is heard confessing that the party did not have its collated figures at the time of going to court for the 2020 presidential petition. Let's get more on that. National organizer of the New Patriotic Party, Henry Nana Boakye, is joining us in studio. Good afternoon to you, sir, and welcome to the Pulse. It's good to see you.
Yes.
And you've gone into hiding. Is that accurate or not hiding?
Oh, no, not really. I mean, I think I saw you about 2 days ago.
And
then you made an arrangement that I'm going to appear on your show. I was somewhere, but I have great respect for your platform, so I had to make sure that I put in an appearance.
Welcome. And quite a lot has happened. In fact, in the last few hours, your General Secretary has addressed the press. A number of issues have been raised. Let's start off on the issue of the 2020 presidential petition. You're asking the NDC to apologize to Ghanaians. Why?
Yes, I think that the NDC and its leader then, candidate Mahama, former President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, I think they've been very dishonest to the people of Ghana. They've conducted themselves in a manner which potentially could have plunged the country into chaos. You recall that after the declaration of the 2020 election by the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, the NDC and its flag bearer, the former president, had made some comments, not only comments, they actually briefed the nation through a press engagement where they said that they had won the elections. And however, the EC chairperson misconducted herself, and then the entire EC, to be precise. So they said that they were going to go to court. And before then, we had not even, they had not presented to us any, shred of evidence. They could not produce any further and better particulars. But yes, we were told that they were going to court. We went to court. I was part of the legal team. Yeah. We sat in the courtroom for almost about 2-3 months, 18 hearings, and I was there every single day. And I was amazed. It appears that they came into the courtroom for fishing expedition. You go into the courtroom and then you are now trying to hit your head everywhere, trying to find evidence. Before then, their people were on the streets, vandalizing state property. They were burning ties. Some were even arrested. Don't forget that even the MPs, the whole MPs, the NDC MPs also joined this particular act where they also marched from Parliament and they said we're going to the Electoral Commission's head office to demand some answers. Very pathetic. And then we said it. And you recall again that even in the courtroom where the current national chairperson, who was supposed to be the star witness, he sat in the courtroom and he was asked several times, did you present any collated figures? Have you brought any evidence to court? So many times he said, no, my lord, we have not brought any figure to court. So in the lead up to their own elections, he's trying to explain to his own party people how they were unable to collate their own results. And it emerged that they could not even collate 5 regions. It emerged that beyond 5 regions, their system crashed. It emerged that even manual collation was very difficult for them. Yet the former president told the entire country that they are crying some stolen verdict and they were not treated fairly. So if this country, potentially, what they did, if we had gone into a certain situation, warlike situation, where lives would have been lost, they would have caused it.
I'm glad that you're touching on the fact that you were in court yourself. Part of the facts of the matter before the court was that the NDC had challenged the constitutionality of the EC's declaration twice. And that's been part of the defense that we've been hearing from some of the lawyers, leading figures within the NDC. They say that in as much as the NDC was not in court with figures, they were not getting things clear in terms of how many times the EC would declare its own figures. And adding the EC's figures would even amount to over 100%, which is mathematically not accurate. So these are some of the issues that they presented before the courts as well.
I agree with you. So now you are talking about figures. Now, you are saying that the Electoral Commission made a mistake. Initially, they said that they had won the elections, and per their own calculations, it's supposed to be a runoff, if you recall. So, what kind of calculations did you internally conduct for you to arrive at this conclusion that no person or no candidate crossed the 50+1 vote mark?
Are you saying it's not fair for the NDC to question the EC's work?
What are your figures? No, question it. You can criticize. But the moment you appear before the arena of the courtroom, you cannot be speculating. You can be saying these things outside. You can be saying all more, but then immediately you appear in the courtroom. You need to provide some evidence. You don't go and rely on your opponent's case or on your opponent's witness. In this case, you have summoned the Electoral Commission before the law court. You go into the courtroom and you are now making application to the court that you want the chairperson of the Electoral Commission to sit in the box for you to cross-examine the person. That is not the case. If the person says, I'm not going to lead any evidence, that is up to the person. So you don't go into a courtroom when you know you don't have a case. You don't, and you see, fortunately for us, in our current democratic dispensation, especially regarding electionary processes, we have had 2 presidential petitions. So we can always juxtapose, we can always make some positive comparison. Look, we had one in 2012. Again, I was also in the courtroom then, I was a law student then. And you recall that we presented evidence, compelling evidence, 12,000 pink sheets.
You were relying on pink sheets. They were going against constitutionality. You are a lawyer, so you understand that these are clear, different issues.
I understand. Then you should have gone straight to the Supreme Court. Don't go through a presidential petition because it has its own clear dictates and clear mandate. Then you could have chosen a different forum. But the moment you are saying that you are challenging the figures as churned out by the Electoral Commission, then you should be able to provide contrary figures to that effect.
What would you say to someone who says all the NPP is attempting to do now is to take the shine and the glory from the NDC's peacefully conducted National Delegates Congress? The verdict is out there.
Look, are you sure? I mean, when I've never even seen it before. Look, you had PNC General Secretary Janet Nabila, who was beaten by NDC tax. It has never happened that you have a political party who is coming for your Congress to deliver a fraternal message, and then you beat the person up. Why? Because you are saying that the person does not support your cause anytime you present your case. So the NDC says that they themselves invited the particular person in the PNC to come and deliver the fraternal message. They did not invite the lady, so you had to beat her up. A whole general secretary of a party, and you are saying it was peaceful. It has never happened before.
The PNC has issued a statement saying, well, it's not entirely the case that there was assault.
You know, I have seen that. I have spoken to the lady in question, right? So, and then again, you are saying peaceful. Are you aware that the women and the youth wing is part of their conference? The only, let's say, plan is that they used to have this a week before that. And you saw what happened in Cape Coast. And now we are talking about some 15 or 17 or so persons who are wanted by the police. So how can anyone describe this as peaceful? It is part of their conference. It is not. That is why we are condemning these violent attacks. They themselves visiting mayhem on themselves. We condemned it. So yes, we commend them for coming through this democratic process. And interestingly, let me tell you something. You recall that when the representative of the Electoral Commission was making the declaration of the results, the person made a mistake. And then he later on corrected himself. That one, they are not challenging it in God. Because in this case, the chairperson who declared the 2020 elections made a mistake. And the mistake did not affect the outcome of the results. They said everything. They gave evidence to that effect, yet the NDC says, no, once you have made a mistake, we are going to take you to court. And in the same thing, the Electoral Commission, who supervised your elections, made a mistake, and they came back again to correct it. And then, Mr. Isidun Ketia, by now, you should be in court. I mean, this is laughable. So the fact of the matter is that they did not have a case. They have been very irresponsible. This is dishonesty. You see, when you are giving political power, or when you are seeking political power, we need to be honest to the people. So you don't lie to your people that you have a case, And on the tape, you listen, he said that, look, when we were going to court, we did not have our own collated figures. We did not have any case. In fact, even when we appeared before Chachu Chikata, he even said that I am not going to lead you for you to present this scanty evidence before the law court. So the fact of the matter is that they lied to the Ghana. That is why we are demanding for this unqualified apology.
Is it not interesting that the man at the center of this, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, has been re-elected? And this time around, he's been given a new portfolio in the NDC. He's now going to serve the party as the national chairperson of the NDC. What does that suggest to you
the indication is that
the NPP? Some say they are more fortified than you are. They have more experience than you, the national leadership
let's take the national
of the NPP. Let's take that, for instance.
The national chairman, he used to be general secretary. He's been general secretary for 17 years.
Right.
In fact, in 2016, he was general secretary and he was also campaign manager in 2016. Look, the person who has so pretended over the most humiliating electoral defeat is Mr. Asiedu Nketia. He was the campaign manager then. He was the general secretary then. He supervised a monumental failure. They've given a position. I think that for maybe the masses in the NDC, they love people who would lie to them, who would play with their minds, who would deceive them. I think that is
but 17 years is no joke of it.
It is not. I really respect it. I mean, I'm a young man. I'm not coming. I respect it. I'm only telling you his track record. That he has handed the NDC the most humiliating defeat ever in the history, in our political history. Now, in 2020, he also lost again. Now, he comes back to you to tell you that, you know what, we failed to collate our own figures. So on 2 occasions, they failed to collate their own figures. And then moving further to say that even manual collation, we could not even do it. And that was captured on the tape.
And yet he was voted into office as NDC chair.
That is the NDC for you. That is what they like. That is what they admire to be lied to. They are filled with propaganda. Somebody who can lie, somebody who can deceive us, somebody who can play with our minds, somebody who can just, massage our emotions. That is what they want.
But some have gone ahead already to do comparisons. We've seen what's being compared. For instance, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, who many say has following as compared to, say, your chairperson.
The only thing
and we've seen some of these comparisons.
Has over the chairperson is the fact that he's been in political positions for a long time. The chair, of the NDC, right?
How about the NPP?
Oh, that is something. That is the only thing. But that is what I'm saying, that why are you not also concentrating over the fact that he supervised the most humiliating defeat for the NDC? And for me, that makes me happy. At least we know the person. At least we know that the person is a monumental failure. And he did the same in 2020. So we know him. That is fine. I mean, you consider somebody like maybe Fifi Kwete, who used to be propaganda secretary, where he put out a lot of falsehood. At a point when he was appointed to be deputy minister, he appeared before the appointing committee, and then he could not substantiate all of these comments. That President Kufuor had stolen all Ghana, the gold bars. That President Kufuor, he's got some huge bank, he has some bank accounts with some huge money in Prudential Bank, all manner of lies. Now he appeared before the committee, and then he's now apologizing. That is why I'm saying probably the NDC, they love people who can lie to them. That is.
But Fifi Kwete is credited for the NDC success in the 2004-2008 elections.
I don't think so. I mean, 2008 he was a propaganda secretary. He lied. That is why I'm saying that.
But they were still in power.
Now Ghanaians are wide awake to some of these malicious lies. No, we are not going to accept it anymore.
For instance, Yamin is staring you in the face. Your national
As for
organizer.
Yamin, it's not even a face at all.
Oh, really?
But Yamin, this is the first time he's coming into the national fray. Yamin has contested internally. He's tried to, apart from the fact that he's been regional secretary some 10, 12 years back in the Ashanti region, all the internal elections that he's contested, he's lost. In fact, in his own backyard in the Ashanti region, where he was even a parliamentary candidate, he lost. Where he was regional secretary, he failed again. And then where he also had wanted to contest for the chairmanship in Ashanti, do you know what he was told? He was told that he's not from Ashanti region.
But this is the Ashanti region. It's the stronghold of the NPP.
But that is what I'm trying to say, that even he's not loved there. He's been rejected. When he was seeking to be regional organizer, that is what they told him. They told him that you are not from here. How can we even present you before Otumfuo? That is what the Ashanti NDC said. So they themselves, they have rejected Yamin already in Ashanti region twice. Twice. In fact, the regional chairman was campaigning seriously against him. The regional organizer was leading the campaign of Chief Baini. He is rejected totally in Ashanti region. He doesn't have any national experience. I have been 4 years national youth organizer. I was elected national organizer. He's now coming into the scene. He's not coming in.
So he's no match for you at all?
No, I'm not saying he's no match. But what I'm trying to say is that his experience compared to mine, just suppose he does not come close.
Nanabi, what would you say when people walk up to you from the other side saying that the current crop of leadership in the NPP, as compared to those leading the NDC now, I'm afraid you're breaking the 8 agenda may not work. What would you say to such a person?
It's going to work perfectly. Somebody who has failed the NDC in this manner, we don't have...
But why not look at your own? I mean, the people you have on board.
I am saying that we have a strong team.
All new? Your chairperson new? Your secretary new?
Do you know something? In the year 2016, when we won the elections, Samuel who had never been there, national figure before, he was. John Bodu was there. In fact, we had challenges because at that time, through some constitutional issues, we had our chairman stepping aside, we had our general secretary stepping aside, and national affairs vice stepping aside, and we won the elections. So that is why I'm saying that look at the person. It's not as if Mr. Nketia is new. He's not. We know him. We know him. So what is his political credentials? His political credentials is the one who has handed the NDC the most humiliating defeat. And that is it.
Let's scale things up a bit. You are going to be having, and that's the prediction of some experts this last night on PM Express, that there's going to be another phase of the NPP in terms of reorganization, which has got to do with the presidential primaries.
Parliamentary.
Right. Now in the NPP, we've had, so many names. We've heard of Joe Gate. There is Alan that we've heard of. We've heard of Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, Boache Jako is in the race. And these are big wigs within the NPP. You're going to have another crisis trying to mend your faults after that presidential primaries, as compared to the NDC, which in a de facto manner has John Dramani Mahama coming up strong in the lead. Are you not worried that your party may be disintegrated after that exercise?
That worry is there, but it depends on leadership. And for us as leaders, that is what we've been trying to do. Look, we've been engaging a lot of, not even because now we have not even open nomination, so we cannot call anybody candidate, but prospective aspirants, so that at least we can minimize the noise. Yes, there's a challenge we're going to have. Why? Because we have a certain president who constitutionally cannot contest again. So clearly you will have all of these potential flag bearers coming up. So yes, we will have that challenge, but I think it is going to be about leadership. And for us, we are putting everything in place to make sure that we will have incidents-free primaries. We will finish the processes very well. It is going to go free, fair. We are not going to interfere in anything we're going to put in place. That is the secret. If candidate A knows that he lost fairly, he's going to be happy. And there's going to be cooperation after the competition. And that is what we are seeking. So I can agree with you that yes, because there are potentially many people coming, first of all, we have to go through a process, and then afterwards, we have to bring everybody on board. So if you don't handle it very well, we're going to have problems. But I can assure you that we are poised, we are resolute, we have sat down, and we know that that is one of the main challenge.
It's been a headache for you as leadership of the party, right?
No, it's not a headache because we are in it. It's going to be a headache if you don't manage it well. If you manage it well, you are rather going to reap the successes of the process.
I recall some time ago, your General Secretary issued a statement indicating that you are going to meet with potential aspirants and people who are jostling to lead the NPP. What timelines do you have for that, and how are you going to roll out that phase of reorganization?
Very soon, an announcement to be made by the General Secretary where he's going to put out the calendar for the orphan constituencies, the constituencies where we have MPs, and then the presidential as well. And then immediately we announce, we are going to put a team in place. We're going to set up committees, committees of eminent persons, respectable persons. And then they are going to be calling these people to speak to them. So the processes will begin hopefully by end of this year.
Okay, so you're starting in a few weeks.
Hopefully the processes will begin. That is for the rest of the internal elections that we have. We're going to start very soon. And then the committee will make sure that we'll meet these persons. And even before, don't forget that we have the new leadership brought about some programs where we are the party-government relationship, we intend to bridge it. So we have had quite a number of ministers coming into the national head office. We've had even some prospective candidates or prospective aspirant even coming in there, and then there have been some talks about it. I mean, potentially you can mention Honorable Kennedy Japan, who visited us yesterday. You can mention Honorable Kojola Nchematin, who visited us, I think, 2 weeks ago. His Excellency, the Vice President, also visited the party office. We've had quite a number, and then MPs as well. So anytime they come, we try to preach party cohesion, party unity. We try to let them know that we are going to make sure we stand in the middle. We are going to make sure that the processes are conducted in free, fair, and then very objective manner. If we don't have a hand in it, I think that they are going to be okay. If they lose, they know that, yes, they have lost fairly. They are going to come back, and then it will be cooperation after competition.
Nanabi, I'll be pretending if I don't bring this up. The fact that some of the leading executives are being accused of taking sides, even ahead of the presidential primaries. Are you all aligned as national executives? Do you all have you all taken sides in terms of the candidates you support? Because that has been the concern of some members of the party.
That would be a recipe for disaster. And in fact, the General Secretary, National Chairman, on any platform, and we have been told, we have been cautioned that, you know what, if you are seen taking sides, if you are heard, if you even make any comment that suggests that you're on this side, you are going to face some punitive measures. So we are not going to take sides. Yes, there have been times where we've had some leading figures making some pronouncement, and then we have called some. I recall that recently even the Greater Accra Regional Minister made some declaration, and humbly so, he again came to apologize. From there on, I've seen that there have been some kind of quietness, and it appears that, I mean, you cannot...
But it's coming up again.
It is coming up again.
Why not cracking the whip on people who
it is coming up again. It is a political party.
Right.
Sometimes you need to be very careful. This is the season we find ourselves. You need to manage the process very well, right? You don't have to be overly strong-handed. Right. So we need to manage it very well. This is a human institution. So sometimes there are certain discussions that we have is be behind closed doors. Right. You may not know, and that is politics for you. Sometimes people will even meet even the national chairman alone, meet general secretary alone, without even the rest of the executives. Yes, that is leadership for you. So there are so many things that they are doing, right? But the most important thing is that the season we find ourselves, look, you will certainly have people, because we have finished with our internal elections. We have almost about 8 internal elections to conduct, right, from this year up to next year.
Okay.
Right? We finished with almost about 6 of them, yes. We finished with the national elections, which is what, the 6th. We have the parliamentary primaries to do, and then the presidential.
Right. So which will come before which? The presidential or the parliamentary?
National Council
will decide on that. But there's this developing trend also in Parliament, since we're talking about it, and it's all flowing from the demands by some of your MPs that Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta be dismissed. We've heard Eugene Enchi come out, even after the memo that was signed between the MPs caucus and the national leadership. He's back again into the fray to say that, well, what's happening is that some of us are being threatened. Our seats are being threatened simply because we're making a demand for the finance minister to be either reassigned or removed by the president. Have you officially received some of these complaints from your MPs?
We have.
And don't you feel this may break up divisions within the party? Yeah. You've seen that interview, right?
No, I also saw that, I think it was even a news item I saw. And then and just this afternoon, we were preparing for the General Secretary's press conference. I know General Secretary mentioned that he was going to call those MPs who are making that allegation so that we can go into it. So because a developing issue, I cannot make any,
But the General Secretary intends to investigate this.
Yeah, he intends, because it became news at once, it's out there, and then some people are saying that they are being threatened. obviously is a matter for us to investigate. So General Secretary mentioned it, but as I said, he was preparing for his press conference, so I know. So I cannot make any emphatic statement on this matter, but it is a matter that is worth looking into, and we are going to.
Some say you're to blame for this as leadership of the party, simply because you issued a statement asking your MPs not to participate in the entire vote of censure process, and that if you had allowed your MPs to freely express themselves, we won't have divisions coming up at this point.
You are just putting, you are just.
I'm mixing issues up.
Yeah, you're mixing issues up because
if you had allowed them, I'm not sure they would have
the NDC mischievously had put out a certain motion. The motion was grounded on some allegations. The MPs in Parliament, right, cannot align themselves with those allegations. And those allegations, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta came or appeared before Parliament's committee to answer. So the manner in which they were going around it, we could not have associated ourselves with it. And that is what they did. Because if you are impugning corruption, if you are impugning conflict of interest, you are impugning all manner of criminal allegations, right? We cannot be part of it. They are making their case differently. They have reasons for doing so. So yours is, for me, was born out of mischief. And they cannot be part of such mischief. So that is how come we had to engage them. And don't forget that it is the political party that gives birth to MPs. So if we meet them and then there is a particular decision, a particular line for them to do, we have the right to do so. And it is so.
Is it not the case that they're putting party interest ahead of national interest?
What kind of national interest was this?
Well, at least allow them to vote if they vote and the decision comes out positive.
No, we just don't want them to participate. And it has happened before, both sides. I mean, there have been times where the NDC MPs have been whipped in line to act in a particular manner. And that is the same thing here. So, yes, in as much as some people, right, had already expressed that their view that they want Mr. Ofori-Atta to go, they were not assigning those reasons. So they cannot associate themselves with those reasons. That is how come they have to depart from those reasons and then subsequently have to move away from the motion. That is it.
I just heard your General Secretary talk about the economy, for instance, and it's part of the reasons why even you have genuine fears that you may lose the 2024 elections. And part of the solution for some of your MPs is that the finance minister must leave office. Why are you not allowing that process to go through?
No, I think you are still coming back to the same thing. Yes, they can have their own issue. They have spoken to their president. They've put before the president some concerns. The president engaged them, and the General Secretary was there, National Chairman was there, and they reached a certain consensus. I mean, that is separate, right, and distinct from this particular.
But it's all about the economy. There's one man in charge, one man managing the policies.
That is not what the NDC, that's not what they are saying. That is what I'm saying. Did you read the motion?
Besides that, they feel that he's mismanaged the economy. It's part, it's part of the six.
No. That is why he came before the committee and then he showed that he had.
But it's part of the six claims.
I know, the IMF even came out to say that, no, the managers of the economy have not mismanaged the economy. Rather, they are external factors. The two main external factors are COVID and then also the Russia-Ukraine war. Not us, even the IMF.
Do you feel that Ghanaians will be patient enough with you, with the NPP?
I think that I'm happy.
In terms of how you've managed the economy and for which we'll retain you in 2024?
Oh, yes. I mean, I'm happy that at least now, I wasn't happy when and all of us were concerned. I'm a national organizer. Clearly, if you have the dollar hitting the roots, I mean, you'll be worried, but I'm happy that at least it's coming down recently. And that is what I was always preaching. GRE announced that they have a fixed rate for their operations, 8 Ghana cedis. I'm so happy. You see, it gives business people that room, that certainty of time, and then thought and planning to know that, okay, I'm going to do business for the next 6 months and I'm going to work with this figure. Rather than you working with this figure today and then tomorrow it changes because the dollar is going up. I'm happy for that. So things are getting better. We are not out of the woods yet. I'll be the last person to say that, hey, let's jubilate. We are happy. No. You recall that at least substantially, fuel prices are coming down. Substantially, they have announced a reduction of transport fares. Some people have even said that they should go down even further. I think it was 2 days ago or so I read from Utah where some of these commodities are also coming down. So yes, we are not out of the woods yet, but at least as a nation, all of us should compliment this effort. And sometimes the way we talk, honestly speaking, I've listened to a lot of experts who have said that speculation is also part of it. Just today, I saw somebody say, hey, we are told that this thing is also going to get to another 14. Oh, look at this. They've started this whole thing again. So I think that...
I hope you're not accusing the NDC anyway.
Oh, they can. I mean, NDC are not happy that the thing is coming down, obviously.
Really?
Oh, yes. They, in their mind, they think that the economy should rather go down, and then they can just, gain some political mileage out of it. For them, they are not happy. But as I said, we need to support government. Let's support His Excellency the President. And I know that things are going to get better. And I will now wait for the message from the NDC.
Well, we need to wrap up. Let me take your final words to our viewers. What would you want them to know about the NPP? You are set on breaking the aid. I just would leave that to you to speak to them.
We are. Next year is going to be again another busy year for us because of the internal elections. What we are doing is that we are putting our house in order. We are preparing ourselves for the elections. What I can say is that the new leaders or the new leadership of the New Patriotic Party, we are going to make history. We are going to make history, and it will surprise you. I'll come back here again on this same platform, and then you tell me that, yes, Anabi, you came here on this, you said that you're going. We are going to make history. It has never happened before that a political party will be in power for 8 years, and then the Ghanaian voter will still retain the political party for another 4 years, making 12 years. It has never happened. It is history. We are going to be history makers and record breakers.
You have a target?
A target of?
1 million, 2 million votes?
The most important thing is for me for win. Win is a win. We are going to make sure that we form the next government. That is it.
Okay. Henry Nana Boakye is the national organizer for the New Patriotic Party. You're still with us here on The Pulse. When we return, we'll talk about some matters. Please. What seems to be a growing trend, armed robbers appear to be on the loose, attacking and making away with people's money. Indeed, there's been a tighter police vigilance out there, but they managed to stage attacks. Well, just 2 weeks ago, some men attacked a woman in her car at the busy car price streets on one hot afternoon. They made away with money in the vehicle whilst their target sustained injuries from gunshots fired during the robbery last Thursday. Two suspected robbers shot two persons at one of the Bofredru areas near Santasi in the Ashanti region. One of the victims later died. On Monday, a police commander in the Solar district of the Savannah region was also robbed by unidentified men. Well, yesterday, 25-year-old mobile money vendor Calvin Ni Pakpo is also battling for his life at Winneba Trauma and Specialist Hospital after three armed robbers shot him and took away the money at Kaswa Bigman town near the poolside hotel in the Wutusenya East municipality of the central region. Well, eyewitnesses say that the robbers were with pump action guns and had a pistol, of course, to attack him and the victim as well. Well, he's doing normal now, according to reports, but we know that we're inching closer and closer to Christmas. So what security measures do we need to take, and how do we need to protect ourselves much more in this festive season? Let me bring in now, of course, Richard Kumado. Richard Kumado is a security analyst that is joining us via Zoom now. Thank you, sir, for your time. Of course, looking at what's happening now, would you say that there's some state of insecurity, first of all, even before we move into measures to take to have personal safety? Well, it appears that we're having some challenges connecting with Richard, but let's listen to the witness in this very latest robbery incident.
Dajo, after take a gate, then I'm going to catch on some home. Intimidate me or them on and me feed them on and me baggage none. Intimidate baggage none. Me two room sell more shoot soon, and I'm midnight gate none. But Mijina Okakra, and me be a gate. Me be a gate, me who say, boy, you did not to Namo to suit, Eddie new call. Namoja ed soon. And see, Omuya, baby, I bag me bag. Baby, I'm born to you. A honor, a standard call. Into a boy, you're born to now, or Jay standing a mom. Omuya, for
And robbers.
And robbers.
I say 2. A 2. And no boy.
Kinamusuro.
So say na the NT and we can say and me nana no be catch so be to poor pocket me na me catch mo say mo pi and be wo ha na me ti bi me enti e pie when na be share me catch me say ya bucket when am say ya about to say the CCI enti the IT e no e 2 ana na e pie no na e de look that
Chombo ni tuno en.
Isa ba.
Magiska.
Scan bag ni na ko.
Boys no me say.
Omo ye 3.
Okay.
They be ya home but CCTV camera no na.
Okay.
Enti ye catch omo say omo ko inside no. Enti omo ko inside no. Ya yi achiro. Ba ko su wo ha CCTV camera. Omo ko o na no di. Enti ye catch omo say omo ko kakra.
Well, the eyewitness there indicating how 2 armed persons attacked the mobile money vendor in the Otusinya East municipality. I want to bring in our Richard Kumado, security analyst. Richard, I was just asking if indeed it's fair to say now that there's some sort of surge in armed robbery cases.
And normally during the festive season, crime goes up. What is important is that the police will have to be a bit more aggressive. Normally, in crime prevention or in crime psychology, once the police have become reactive and defensive, criminals take predominance on the public space, and they affect a whole lot of people. That is to say that once we are entering into the festive season, some of these things are likely to be recorded, considering our history. So the police will have to act as quickly as possible.
But then, what exactly and what approach would you want the police to adopt, especially as we're going into this festive season?
There has to be specific hotlines which have to be communicated to the general public. There has to be a little bit more presence of the police, particularly in the areas where they consider to be high-intensity crime areas. And number 3, prosecution, arrest, and investigations into issues of crime and crime-related activities will have to be taken seriously. That's the only way they're going to curb this and the criminals to go back into hiding.
Well, what we see now is people holding arms in the open. The issue about the proliferation of small arms and light weapons comes into the conversation again. Is it the case that we've not done much in checking that?
Definitely. We spoke to the commission several times. They don't have the resources, they don't have the capacity, they don't have the monitoring systems in place to check movement of arms, particularly the unregistered ones. That has been a major challenge for us as a nation. But I think predominantly arms robbery or people using arms in daylight robbery activities is an indication that they have control or they have enough space and they can wage it against the totality or the capacity of the police. And I think once the police begin to get aggressive or progressively aggressive within the public space, some of these activities will go into hiding again.
What's your expectation from the IGP? Well, he's been hard on police reform, but in the wake of these recent attacks, do you feel that would put some blots on his track record, the belief that many have in him to check some of these happenings?
I think he has been a bit more relaxed in recent times. I think he has taken his hands off the wheel, and I think he has taken his legs off the paddle. And he will need to come to the front again. We know the style of Dan Parry, which has been productive over the years. He wants to be in the front line. We want to see him in the front line. We want to see him giving those instructions and following through. We also want to encourage the operational team to work tightly with him within this time. I think there has been some reshuffles that are not going well with him. And I think those are some of the reasons why crime predominantly will want to search and the police will have difficulties in dealing with it in this time. Having said that, it's also important that individuals must take their personal security seriously. There are a lot of shows in town. People who won't go to those shows. Remember, your personal security is your personal responsibility. People who want to go for shopping, take your personal security seriously, and let's have a fruitful Christmas.
Since you're talking about the general public, what would you want them to consider as key in terms of their protective measures?
Number one, educate your household. Let children or let people who are into your household, let them know what to accept and what not to accept. Let know who to accept and who not to accept at the gate. Those going for shows, I said, go with somebody you know. And when you get to those shows, what you eat, what you drink, it's your personal responsibility. The long tables we share, be mindful. And on social media, I want to say, live a hygienic social media lifestyle and never accept people who are strangers into your inbox. They could become many more, treacherous people you're allowing without knowing who they are. Then financial transactions, because this is Christmas and a lot of transactions are going to move. Be mindful and be watchful. Mobile money vendors have specific time to take money to the bank. And once you do that, you do not expose a lot of cash to attract criminals to your food. When you live in areas where when you get to the mall or you get to places to pay, you can use cards. Let's adapt card services instead of carrying cards. That becomes a little bit more of vulnerability for us. And let's watch what we see. Keep our mouth shut on sensitive information and many of the personal things we share online.
Richard Kumaro, thank you for joining us. And 7 more districts in the Ashanti region have been invaded by illegal miners. Despite increased efforts to stop the menace, out of the 43 districts in the region, 25 are now afflicted by galamsey. The Regional Security Council has increased surveillance to prevent the threats from spreading to new places. Nana Aljuma filed this report.
A visit of the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, John Abujinapo, to some affected areas in the Amansia district in September this year revealed deep pits opened all over a vast area. The phenomenon, despite renewed operations to stop illegal miners, has continued with more acres of land being destroyed. Some miners sit in rivers and water bodies to perpetrate the illegality. Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah addressed a meeting of the Regional Coordinating Council.
The galamsey fight in the region has not yet been won and still is rather expanding. Previously, we could count about 18 districts in the Ashanti region where galamsey is practiced. Unfortunately, now the number has gone up to 25 districts out of the 43. And we need to take this one seriously.
Already, the Regional Coordinating Council, through its enhanced surveillance, has stopped the spread of the activity to the Efija-Kwabre district. The effort to fight the menace is, however, hindered by financing.
Sometimes people don't know that water issues are also security issues. So what we need to do is to take drastic measures to ensure that we can minimize the issues of galamsey menace within the region. I've always suggested that on the river bodies, I think we can take the fight from the source of the river up to where it either joins the sea or the confluence of another river body. Constant thrashing of these people, that will help solve the problem. But sometimes you have logistical problems. At times you need even money, you want the military to move, you don't have the resources to support the military. So these are all challenges that we are facing. But I know the ministry is doing its best. Quite often they also send people from Accra to also come and work on them. We will do our best to bring the menace down.
Meanwhile, the minister has endorsed the Asantehene's call to hold traditional authorities accountable for illegal mining in their jurisdictions.
But most importantly, the statement by Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, the Asantehene, recently during the Regional House of Chiefs meeting for which I attended, is a strong signal to all the chiefs, and if well implemented, it will help bring the menace down significantly, because there's no area where we don't have a chief. And then Otumfuo is also saying that if we find galamsey in your area, it means you are part. So Otumfuo invite you to Menshia and then question you, interrogate you about why you still have galamsey in your area. Because as he put it, if somebody had come to encroach on your land, definitely you have reported the case. So if you find illegal miners on your land, why don't you report?
The Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council is strategizing to improve performance in the coming year. For Joy News, Nanaya Ochima.
And now, Head of Youth Banking for Stanbic Bank, Foster Aaron Akugri, is encouraging young people to take their lives into their own hands. Speaking at a breakfast meeting on the Skills and Jobs for Africa's Youth, organized by the Design and Technology Institute, DTI, he indicated that the youth should not wait on the government to create job opportunities for them, since their creative capacity can do more. There's more in the following report by Anna Nketia and Efua Isiamo.
The breakfast meeting held on the 20th of December 2022 was a follow-up to the 3rd National Precision Quality Conference, which was held in September with the aim of solving the unemployment situation. Speaking to JoyNews, Head of Youth Banking and SP Incubator for Stanbic Bank, Foster Aaron Akugri, said that the youth have a responsibility to go out of their way and create jobs for themselves and not to solely rely on government. He also commended young people for taking charge of their future.
I think young people are more proactive now more than before about securing their own future. Ghana is registered as one of the countries with the highest entrepreneurship index and innovation index, and this is because of our cultural acceptance of innovation. This means that today many people than before accept the fact that entrepreneurship is an alternative to the traditional employment. And also our individual selves need to put in an effort, because government is not a separate entity from us. Government is for the people, by the people, and of the people, and we are government. And if we are able to understand that, then we realize that we all contribute to seeing that change happen. And one of the key things to be able to achieve that is enabling our young people to become entrepreneurs, because everyone who starts their own venture creates an avenue for new jobs to be created for other people.
An innovation orchestrator, Emmanuel Gamo, encouraged young people to embrace careers in technical and vocational education and training, since technology is making blue-collar jobs redundant.
If you look at countries that have invested in industrialization, blue-collar work, vocational skills training, ranging from plumbing, manufacturing, crafts, woodwork, they're able to have more fortitude because they're able to provide goods and services in country. In countries where folks may be importing quite a lot more and then creating local capacity or exporting, then you are very sensitive to some of the checks and balance. So for us, what we're saying is that by boosting TVET's education, by boosting the industry and services, we're able to create more jobs for younger people.
Some participants at the event expressed excitement about the wealth of knowledge they had received from the conference. It was their belief that their requests will get to the government and their recommendations will be taken into consideration.
I'm expecting that the final outcome or the final output from this particular meeting will be put to use. I think they've already had a number of these discussions, and they've been a follow-up on all those meetings, and I'm hoping that the final outcome that we will have here for all the various sectors that were discussed, governance, trade and industry, education, and the likes would be taken into full force and implemented accordingly.
We strongly believe that this thing will get to the government of the day, and whatever recommendation is placed in will be taken into consideration.
Anna Nketia and Efua Isiame's report read to you.
That's all we have for you here on The Pulse. I am Blessed Sogah. Log on to myjoyonline.com. We have stories there for you.